With the recent release of the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, I've been hooked on it recently and I've beaten it twice now. Obviously, like every other Souls game, some problems arise with some of the bosses, so I wanted to go over every Remembrance DLC boss and give them a ranking and tell you what I think the boss is right and wrong. Starting off with no one surprised, in last place we have Commander Gaius. Wow, this boss was genuinely one of the worst experiences I've had with a boss. His hitboxes are pretty bad, and while that's one thing, he's also on a very fast hog and will run you down. The only way most people beat this boss is by using poke shield builds or running to the left of his arena after entering the arena. The rewards to this boss are also pretty mediocre, the armor set being bad and the weapon is alright. I don't want to give this boss too much time though, so let's all move on to our second to last spot, Metir. I honestly don't know what to say about this boss. Lore-wise I suppose it's cool, but it just seems very weak. Now, one of this boss's moves caught me off guard at all, and the questline to reach her is more difficult than the actual boss. I guess the second phase was alright, kinda making her a bit harder, but again, it's just one of those bosses where I was optional and felt a bit disappointing. The last boss I felt that was not worth praising at all was the Scatter Tree Avatar. Talk about an annoying fight when you get to this guy. 3 phases with a gimmick weak point make it feel like the plant version of the Adjudicator. I don't mind the lengthy fight, but the weak point being difficult to hit the entire fight made me want to itch to switch to a Lightning Spear throw build. The huge, almost undodgeable AoE moves were just the cherry on top as well. I just felt like the boss was harder for no reason. Moving on, the first boss to this list I want to give some praise to is the Putrescent Knight. The way you get to this boss almost gave me ulcers, but other than that, the fight felt very refreshing. I really like his design and he felt super original, and I really enjoyed his moveset, and it's one of those fights where every move you get hit by was a mistake you can learn to fix. I really didn't mind the dismount horse attack. I thought it was really readable and not too bad, and it was also a very original move. His second AoE blue flame attack didn't feel too bad as well, and it was a really readable attack. You're pretty much able to tell when it's going to happen. I think this boss was well constructed, and I like to see more fights where the boss can dismount and whatever it's riding. I also want to give some bonus points to this boss for having a really fun and original weapon drop. Moving on to our number 7 spot is another boss I thought was similarly well made, was Ramina, Saint of the Bud. Another boss where it's not too complicated and not too hard to dodge made Ramina seem very fun. The only complaints I would have for this boss was the runaway or range attack segments, as she is pretty speedy. I think she has a good mix of these moves though, however. As a Quelaag Godskin duo great value boss, I think she performs very well and has a very fun fight. I also really like the original incantation and weapon drops that she has. Moving on to some really amazing bosses that I really enjoyed in the DLC, we're going to have to put Divine Beast Dancing Lion at number 6. Considering there's only 11 bosses to choose from, I'm pretty content with only 5 of them being meh. Onto the Divine Beast, however, his concept is absolutely amazing. The changing weather attacks and the rush attacks all felt super fair, balanced, and refreshing to dodge. Although it was technically the first boss of the DLC, I thought it was somewhat easy though, however, beating it on 1 and 2 tries on every single one of my runs. Not much to say about this boss though, it does give you a pretty funny hat, and the general location of the boss is awesome as well. The inner design and the way the boss moves is very nice as well. Moving on to a somewhat surprising one here for some people, we have Concert Radon at number 5. I want to say that I don't really dislike this boss in any way, but I think there is way better ones on this list. I kind of want to say that this boss was not as expecting as the Elden Ring real final boss as well. The first phase is alright, I guess. Some of the moves are very satisfying to dodge, but other than that, it just feels really spammy, with the second phase being even more spammy and a gigantic AoE fest. I'm not going to be a Twitter user here and complain about how hard it was and cry, but I really didn't struggle with this boss either, as it didn't take me more than 50 tries. That's not the problem here either, though, don't get me wrong. I'm not sure if maybe lore-wise the boss felt fanservice-y or the moveset was disappointing or even the rewards, but there's so much more that this boss could have been, and I'm somewhat let down by it. The whole Radon thing sounds great on paper, but as a reused boss as the final one, it's not something I was expecting from Software though. Now we're really getting into the best of the best bosses coming from the DLC. Moving from there, we have R'Lana. The boss was a staple on what makes a boss fun, fair, and difficult. Her first phase had really well telegraphed moves, making you feel like you have to dodge, heal, or respond by attacking. Every time I play the DLC, I look forward to this boss. I think they nailed it on making a boss that felt like a real fight in a sense. This off-brand Pontiff Sullivan would surprise me in the second phase as well. It didn't feel overwhelming at all, and each attack had a way to dodge it without error. If you made a mistake during some of the attacks, this boss would really punish you, and I think that it would make great for a learning curve. This boss gets my stamp of approval, and it gets some bonus points for those phase 2 backshots. For our top 3 bosses, best of the best, at the number 3 spot we have Baeldred. This boss was absolutely incredible. The music, the arena, the way you fight him, I give this boss the golden stamp of approval, even a platinum stamp if you sub an Aigon as well. This boss is wrapped with Aigon and his entire questline lore, and what he was doing during the fight makes it 100 times better. This boss was a true challenge that was fair. I remember the first time I got into phase 2, I was thinking, how the hell do they expect us to beat him? But after enough attempts, it became possible when you learn his moveset. I love when bosses give you an easier time when you retry them, making for a great learning curve. This boss is for sure on the same level with Midir and Kalameet being a top 5 Souls game boss. For the grand reveal of our number 2 spot, we have Midra, the Lord of the Frenzied Flame. Everything about this boss was the fucking epitome of a Souls boss. The music, cutscene, lore, the moveset. I mean, seriously, as a side boss, this boss surprised me a ton. This is what I expect when I pick up a FromSoft game. There's not much I can say about this boss other than it is the most incredible boss from the DLC in my opinion. If you haven't fought him yet, please do. It is an amazing experience. His OST is absolutely incredible too. Hearing it while fighting him, you might struggle a bit because you're obviously going to be concentrated on the boss, but I would recommend giving it a listen when you're by yourself and alone because it is just absolutely amazing. At our number 1 spot, I don't know if this is going to come as a surprise to a lot of people, but we have Mesmer the Impaler. This fight really surprised me. Looking at Mesmer in the trailer, I would have just assumed he was another spammy AoE boss, but his moves are near perfect. Every single move he has is readable and dodgeable. Hell, you can even take some of his combos. When I was deciding about who I wanted to put at the number 1 spot, it was a really bad fight between Midra and Mesmer. They're both absolutely amazing bosses, and it was really hard to decide who was going to go in number 1. I think they're both probably my favorite, and I really could never pick one, but I had to put Mesmer at number 1. I don't know why, I just came to that conclusion. But moving on to Mesmer's second phase, the moveset of Mesmer is incredible there too. Having a really fun dodgeable moves with the snakes makes it really comparable in Gale terms. Have fun in moveset and big AoE moves. I can go on forever about when it comes to boss number 1. Honestly, if Mesmer was the final boss in the DLC, I wouldn't even mind. But I want to hear what you guys think about the DLC bosses in the comments, so be sure to let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Have a great day.